Hello, I'm Judy Lisi from the Straz Center for the Performing Arts, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Saul-Sena, and I'm so glad you're joining us today on Culture Vultures. It is my great pleasure to introduce my longtime friend and the director of the Straz Center, Judy Lisi. Thank you so much for joining us, Judy.
Well, I'm thrilled, Linda. I've been waiting for you to ask me.
So I was trying to figure out, you've been at the Straz for 25 years?
It will be 25 years next year. The same year that the Straz Center will be 30 years old. I came in 1992, and it's just flown by.
I was going to say, Tampa has changed, the Straz has changed, and you have made it just flourish and flower.
Yeah.
It is one of the real joys of being in the Tampa Bay area to have that fabulous facility here for us.
Well, it's been amazing to see how it's grown, but I have to tell you, when I first came down here in 1992 and saw what these visionaries in Tampa built in a place like Tampa, because being from the New York area, really we didn't know that Tampa practically even existed in terms of culture, and to think that they built the third largest performing arts center in the country at that point, it was startling. So all of us were wondering, what's happening down there?
Well, it's interesting because at the time I was on city council and I thought, well, of course we're doing this. It's only in hindsight that I realized what a bold vision it was. So when you first came here, there were three theaters. Three theaters? And that was it?
That was it.
No Patel Conservatory, no Black Box Theater.
No Schimberg Theater. And those grew organically really over time because as you discover when you come to a community, you have to get a sensibility of the community and what you think they would like to see, what you think the needs are. One of the big needs that I recognized when I first came here in 1992, I would get so many calls from people who wanted to study the performing arts, including parents or grandparents that were looking for opportunities for their children. And the one thing about studying the performing arts, people don't have a certificate in anything. So there would be Miss Susie's Dance Studio and some vocal teachers, and I'm sure many of them are very good, but they're not vetted, and it's so hard to know what to look for. And you know, the performing arts, when you go into training, it could actually be harmful because you're dealing with the human body.
Right.
And especially with children, you're dealing with smaller children. And for example, if with ballet, if you don't teach it correctly, there's a time when your bones are ready to go on point. There's a time before you don't want to do that because the bones aren't strong enough, they're not formed. And same with the human voice. You could be teaching vocal technique that could be damaging to the voice rather than helpful. So it was hard for parents, and for years and years, I would try to find out myself who were the good teachers, but that eventually morphed into the Performing Arts Center Conservatory, where we were able to hire teachers that were qualified, that were vetted, that were truly professional teachers, and that's how we really came to the point where we brought it to the point that it was the whole Performing Arts Center Conservatory.
How many years has that been? I'm trying to remember, and I always think in terms of the ages of my children and what they took, but has it been 20 years?
No, it's only, the Performing Arts Center Conservatory has only been 11 years, but we have been training kids in the performing arts for many years longer than that.
For people who might not be familiar with the breadth of offerings there, would you just share some of them?
Well, our whole education program is really huge. We start with our field trip program, and we invite more than 50,000 young people to our field trip program.
From schools throughout Tampa Bay?
Yes, throughout Tampa Bay. And then we have 30 partnerships, many in areas where these young people would never be able to afford any classes. So that's very good. Our hope is that we have a huge satellite program throughout the region. And then the Performing Arts Center, we built we started the campaign for it in 1999. We opened it in 2005. So it's out of room. And that's part of our master plan, which you'll hear about later.
So you both have your teachers going out to satellite programs in the area,
That's right.
as well as the students coming to the Straz.
That's right. In addition to our teachers, we also bring many of our artists out to the community, because very often these kids wouldn't see any of these things, so we bring our artists there.
That's phenomenal. I remember when a past director of the symphony talked about, as a child, hearing a symphony for the first time, and it absolutely shifted his life's direction. So the opportunities you're making available to these kids, it's just phenomenal. It's potentially life-changing.
Well, it really is life-changing. We have so many of our students who really started on scholarship. And, you know, very often in our community, especially in Tampa, we should never define young people by the circumstance that they're born into, because they have so many gifts and so many talents, but they might not have the opportunity to do anything with them. So we want to be that bridge. So we work with many agencies where they help us discover who these young people are.
That's great.
And we scholarship any young person who has the urge to do this. We will find the money for them to come there. And we've had so many kids that went on to Broadway careers. We have kids at the Royal Ballet in London on full scholarship. One of our kids just won a full 4-year scholarship. She's been on scholarship with us for 8 years. She won a full 4-year scholarship to Carnegie Mellon in theater. In her essay to get in, she said at some point in her career she wants to start another conservatory just like this one, so she can help young people live their dream too. And that's when you know they get it. Because they're not just thinking of themselves, they're thinking of what they could do too. And that to me was a dream come true.
That's phenomenal. And I remember when you were naming it, the conservatory, because that's the appropriate name, and because there had never been a conservatory in our area, nobody sort of knew what to make of that.
No, some people thought we were growing flowers. But it is the name, and you know, at that point we said, well, we can call it what it is, which is a conservatory, which is really a school for training, or we can say, oh, it's the school, the training school. We said, no, let's call it conservatory, because we're lifting up, and we want to call it the best it can be. And part of, you know, calling it the conservatory is educating our community to know what a conservatory is, what a conservatory does. So, and now everybody knows. And we only don't have programs for young people, we have programs for adults. Our oldest student is 80 years old.
Oh, that's fantastic. Actually, I have friends who've taken comedy classes and music classes.
Yes.
So
we have choral groups, we have older tap dancers, because
older tap dancers.
Oh yes,
oh, that's
yes.
great.
Because when you think about it, the performing arts, if you have that urge to express yourself, it doesn't stop when you're 21 and you have a family, you have to make a living, all those things. They're all wonderful things. But you still want to get together with people and create together. And so this provides everyone an opportunity. We had like 6 women doctors who came together, and they loved it because they could leave what they're doing and just express themselves in a different way. And I always say it's cheaper than therapy and a lot more fun.
I think that's a great slogan. So in addition to the conservatory, for people, it's hard to imagine that there's anybody who doesn't know all of the things you do, but there might be folks who are new to the area. Talk about the variety of programming that the Straz offers.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I think it is hard for people in the community to know all the facets of what we do. Generally, people will know us by what they come to.
Of course.
People bring their students to the conservatory, they'll know we do that. If people come to see Def Comedy Jam, they'll know that. If people come to the orchestra, they'll know that. If people come to our Schimber Theater, where we do a lot of avant-garde programming, they'll know that. But I would venture to say most people don't know everything that they do, because that was our goal. Our goal was to be so multifaceted that there would be something there that almost anyone could engage with. So we do everything. We have 5 theaters now. We had 3 when the center first opened, and we really do everything from the traditional performing arts center forms like orchestra, opera, classical ballet. Then Broadway is our biggest because that's the most mainstream. And actually, we're one of the largest Broadway presenters in the country, and we get great shows. And then we have our own opera company because opera doesn't tour, and so if you're going to do real high quality opera,
that was your baby.
You have to do it. It was my baby.
You brought that to us.
Well, I had started another company in New Haven, Connecticut when I was there for the same reason. And it's been wonderful. We're in our 21st season, going into our 22nd season.
Wow.
We have a wonderful artistic director, Daniel Lipton from Germany. And we have vocal classes. We introduced a New Voices program where our community gets to see some of the finest new voices in the world today.
That's fantastic.
And we bring them here for the whole season so the community can get to know them. And yeah, I love opera. I love almost everything that we do. There might be a few things, but they're always good.
You know what I went to that surprised me that you offered it is a National Geographic series of photographers, and they talk about their work, but it's really varied, and it's much more compelling. I like to watch those things on television, but frankly, like everything, it's more compelling in real life, where the speaker's there and the images are just huge. And
well, that's it. We've had that partnership now for about 5 years, and really we bring all these photojournalists and photo essayists, and you can see their work, but then they tell the behind-the-scenes story of what they actually had to do to get these pictures, and it's so much more compelling than just reading it in a one-dimensional way. You could really see and hear from them how they did what they did and the sacrifices that they had to make to do it.
And they're interesting people. I mean, somebody who would choose to go to the middle of nowhere and capture these images has a great story to tell.
Oh, it is. And we also launched last year, we have a partnership with the National Theatre in London, and they are doing their plays now in high definition.
Sort of like the Metropolitan Opera, but with theater.
Exactly. And we started it last year. It was very, very successful. And so we're going to do, I think, we did 3 last year. I think we're going to do 4 this year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Because very often plays don't tour high level, even though we do Broadway.
Right.
And we will do a Broadway, we do mostly musicals. Mm-hmm. Occasionally a play will tour, but many times they don't.
And especially if they get the very best people, they'll only commit to a limited run of 3 or 4
Well,
months.
that's exactly right. Usually it's a 6-month run. Although this year in our Broadway series, we're doing a wonderful play called The Curious Incident of the Dog at Night. And that was actually first produced in London at the National Theatre. It had a very long New York run, and we're bringing that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great play. It's really about looking at life through an autistic young man and what he has to deal with. There's a storyline to it, but that's how the story is told through his mind, and it's fascinating.
What you generally, I mean, this is a big statement, but what you bring to our community, we would not be getting it any other way. The scale, the quality, the depth, it's fabulous, and it's a lot less expensive here in Tampa Bay at the Straz than going up north. So
yes, and one thing we try to do is have affordable seating for people. It's gotten a little challenging now because we have electronic ticket scalpers.
I've read about that.
And it's really gotten hard because
I didn't realize they were doing it here. I know
they're doing it everywhere. And we've been battling it, and we've been battling it in Tallahassee too, because they're trying to get the scalping laws changed, which they have done quite successfully. But what it means really is that we always try to have an affordable ticket as a part of our range of ticket pricing. Because people who like to get really great seats, they will buy the really great seats. But we always like to have a few tickets, and we work it out with the producers, and they're very good at that. But what happens is these electronic scalpers buy those tickets and then upcharge them. So
then they're really crazy expensive.
Well, yes, and then we can't have those tickets available for the people in our community who should have them. So it's been very, very frustrating. We're trying to get laws on state laws and then hopefully federal laws, because a lot of these people and companies are not even in the state of Florida. They're elsewhere. They have these algorithms that they just go in and buy the tickets. Yeah.
I thought that when you had to type in those weird little codes, that was to show that you were an individual and not a machine. And and so it's sort of amazing to me that they can figure out what I can scarcely read them. So it's amazing to me that somebody else can get a sense of what's going on.
I know. Anyway, those are the things we deal with, as we advance in technology. But yes, so we do all the performing arts. We also have a wonderful company called the Next Generation Ballet, and these are our students who not only we do whole story ballets, but then we'll bring in principals from ABT or the major companies.
Really?
And they get an opportunity to see, to work with these high-level ballet artists.
Fabulous.
And they're winning all of these competitions around the world. That's why they're going into these major companies now. But it was great for us because we found a way to do classical ballet, but also in service of our students, and it's just worked out really,
that's like a win-win-win.
Really well. Yeah. It's been great. We're doing Coppelia this year. Yeah.
Beautiful and great music.
Yeah. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next phase.
Yes. Well, we took a hard look a year or so ago at the fact that we were coming into our 30th anniversary, and we realized that a lot of things obviously have changed. So we worked with a group of local thinkers, and we spent a year with them and discussing what would the Performing Arts Center be appealing and attractive to our community in the future. And what some performing arts centers have done, the newer ones that are designed now, is they have a great deal of public spaces, so that in addition to people buying a ticket for a show, they're able to have a lot of gatherings, whether there are shows or not, but they become community gathering places. And if you look at how, especially young people, how they like to come together informally. They don't like to be at a place necessarily at a particular time.
Yes.
They like to have these meetups and pop-ups and all of these things. And we realized we have a beautiful campus, but the Performing Arts Center was designed a generation ago when people lived differently.
Yes.
And it was focused on what was happening on the inside and not what we could do on the outside. So one of the guiding principles of our master plan was how we could make the Performing Arts Center more accessible to our entire community when we have shows and when we don't have shows. And that you don't necessarily need a ticket to enjoy what's happening at the Performing Arts Center.
That's just fantastic. As an urban planner, it just makes my heart beat quickly. That's really great.
Well, and you see that. You see, cities that really have opportunities for that. They become cities that young people, professionals want to come to, and that our own children want to stay in because it's exciting and it's really, so that's where we did it. And so I looked at a few places. One of the new performing arts centers in the world is the Oslo Opera House. Mm-hmm. Stunning architecture. And I was there at a time when there was not a show going on, nothing artistically. The place was packed with people because the architecture itself is so attractive. People just want to come and be there. And of course, there were food and beverage opportunities, and same thing with the Millennium Center in Cardiff. These are all new. And Sydney is probably the most iconic performing arts center, but again, it was all enclosed. They have done a great job of designing everything exterior so that anytime you go there now, it's surrounded by people with tables enjoying
gathering spot.
Yeah, a gathering place. Yes. So, so our performing arts center, we did a huge needs assessment first, and of course, one of the things that has grown quite quickly was the conservatory. So, which is a good thing, but we need to expand that, and so we will expand. We have a section that will expand that in the rear of it, and then our beautiful lobbies that we have, especially where Carol Marsani Hall, we're expanding them out toward the river because the river is really becoming Tampa's whole gathering place, and it's very important that we program that river. And so it's going to almost look like a deck of a ship where it's just going to go out straight, because now we have that little hill that goes down.
Right,
you can't do much with it. So it'll give us a large area where people really can come and enjoy what's happening there. And then we have these great roof terraces. So we're going to expand and develop our roof terraces.
That's marvelous.
Yes, it really is. And then our whole Arrival Plaza experience it's kind of challenging right now because we have, fortunately, many people who want to come to us, but it's not large enough to really give them the best customer service. So I thank you all out there who put up with that with us, but we're trying to make that better.
Well, and you've got a lot of downtown construction just to, make it that much more challenging.
A lot of downtown construction. The one structure that we are focusing on, the only new structures, not any new theaters, but it will be a multi-purpose event center. So for education programs, sometimes we don't have enough room, we'll be able to do a spillover with that. For our arts programs, that we can't, if we have special need for that, we can spill over into that. And we have a lot of food and beverage opportunities that we can't take advantage of because they can only use our lobbies when we don't have shows, and we have so many shows, so we really needed more space for that. So so it's about 4 or 5 different components that make up the whole plan.
I love the orientation to the river, to the city, with a focus on accessibility. And what I find you've done that I think is very smart is you've put screens up where you buy the tickets to make you aware of the upcoming shows, and all of that makes you want to come back again. I mean, it's a very synergistic setup.
We also have screens in our bigger halls now too, so that people can learn about what we're doing while they're sitting waiting for a show. And things are changing so much with technology that we have people that come in. We call them our tweeters. They love to tweet about our show, so we have a special row in the back so that they don't bother other people there. And they tweet away talking about the show.
Well, I thought it was a huge improvement when you let people bring drinks to the seat. I thought that was a great move.
Well,
user-friendly.
The history of the performing arts, we almost got to a point where we became too refined. But, if you think of Shakespeare's time, they brought everything into the theater. Over time, it's gotten, I think, a little too rigid. And so we just want to open it up now to what people enjoy doing.
Well, the whole premise of getting dolled up to go, I mean, you can get dolled up or you can come in more comfortable clothes and it's all okay.
It's all okay. We are here, well, and you have to be where people are. I mean, people are so much more casual now. They dress more casually. But we also like the fact that people want an event out and they want to look special for an event out. And it's all fine. It's all fine.
It's such an exciting future. You have personally, single-handedly, sort of created a vision, and we've all moved up to it. You've gathered us together, and it's so exciting.
It's very exciting. I think all of Tampa is exciting right now, frankly. I think Tampa has more opportunity. We just have to get ahead of the curve because it's growing so quickly. We just have to make sure we have the infrastructure to keep it growing. I say that because parking has gotten very, very challenging, and even getting into Tampa is challenging now when we have many, many events. So the good news is we have all these events, and we've done our job. We've attracted all these people, but we have to make sure, whether it's public transportation or better parking facilities,
or all of the above,
all of the
or
above,
the ferry, which I'm
or
very
the ferry.
excited about.
Yeah, we have to make sure we can move people. That's part of our job.
Will you stick around for us till we get this new vision created?
Well, I've been here a long time. I've been here for, it'll be 25 years in September 2017. I will be here, certainly. I don't know how long it's going to take because we're doing it in phasing.
Right.
But I will give it my best, but I can't say how long. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, but I will try to do it. But I probably won't be here till it ends. But I'll be here certainly to give it its lift off. Yes.
What's really wonderful is the collaborative relationships that you've developed with different organizations over time, and that has lifted all of Tampa's cultural organizations up because of those collaborations.
Well, it's so exciting because we have theaters now, like Stageworks, that we're in our Schimberg Theater.
Absolutely.
And then we're able to build their own theater and launched. I just think it's great. I think Free Fall Theater, that their artistic director started in our cabaret shows, and he was on our education faculty, and he started his own theater. I mean, this is what happens.
You have imagery from Graphic Studio in your buildings. To me, that's a real win for a community. Those sort of cross collaborations.
Our job site theater started with us about 12 years ago now, and they're doing better work than ever. Yeah, I mean, that's what we should be doing. We want to be kind of a lab, something where things can start and then can move out and become all that they could be.
I just have to say, I remember so clearly when the whole idea of a performing arts center came to Tampa, and we thought, can we do this? Are we big enough? We had the penny for the good life tax that didn't happen. And then we had Mayor Martinez, who really stepped up. This is when he was mayor before he was governor, and said, we're going to fund this. I don't care whether there's a great deal of public support for the referendum. This is what our city needs to move forward. And I will always be grateful to him for doing that. And I will always be grateful to you for taking the leap from the Northeast and coming here and bringing us so many of these wonderful things. It's been a really fun collaboration over the years, and from your green roof at the Performing Arts Center to the public art you've created there to the wonderful performances that you bring to this community. I want to, on behalf of Tampa and Tampa Bay, I'd like to thank you. It's been really fun.
Well, and a privilege and a joy for me too.
And thank you all for watching, and go down into the Straz and see what's cooking there. Thank you so much.